Set in 18th century Europe and Paris, the film Mozart's Sister, coming soon to a local theater, is a fictional, very fictional, account of 14-year-old Maria Anna Mozart, known as Nanerl. Nanerl was a prodigy herself, accomplished at harpsichord and violin and with a lovely voice. Then her brother Wolfgang came along. In this melancholy film, written and directed by Rene Feret and starring two of his own daughters, Leopold, the father, concentrates all his resources on his son. Nanerl is forbidden to play violin or learn composition, too difficult for a woman's brain. But her admirable playing does show off Wolfgang's more marketable star quality. The film begins slowly, perhaps to slow the viewer down to the pace of that time. On tour in those days meant day after wintry day in the family's small coach, heading for Paris. Imagine weeks of Are We There Yet? The coach breaks down. They take shelter in an abbey where Nanerl develops a relationship with Princess Louise of France, warehoused there with two of her sisters. There is a striking visual contrast between the girl's elaborate court coiffures and dresses and the nun's stark simplicity. At the glittering court of Versailles, Nanerl meets Louise's brother, the recently widowed Dauphin. He becomes interested in her and in her music. Their relationship is clothed in intrigue under the constant gaze of servants and spies. Nanerl must wear men's clothing. One would think her high soprano voice would give away her gender, but there were countertenors in those days. At one point, Nanerl's mother says to her husband, "Your daughter writes music." He says bluntly, "I forbade her." The mother says simply, "She can't help it." Back at the abbey, Princess Louise, cruelly disappointed in love, becomes a nun and tells Nanerl the Dauphin wants Nanerl to forget him. She should have taken Louise's advice. Trying to be the opposite of his womanizing father, the Dauphin becomes, in a sense, his barbarous mirror image. The former Princess Louise says to her friend with pleasant clarity, "If you were your brother and I were mine, we would both reign." It's a devastating line, particularly in light of changes made only weeks ago in the British law of succession. Now that throne goes to the next in line, male or female. What ironic timing. The score by Marie-Jean Serrero is quite lovely. It subtly suggests the melodies Mozart's sister might be hearing in her head. The film is very French, very controlled, and very interesting, not least in what it shows of daily life in the 18th century. The grim realities of illness, the hardships of constant travel, and the rigid control required by court etiquette. When the Mozarts first arrive in Paris, they're amazed by the wonders of indoor plumbing, but the water is unsafe to drink. A 14-year-old girl considered too weak for mental exertion may be married off for political advancement, her one role to produce sons. Surely that doesn't happen today. From the other side of the footlights, I'm M.D. Ridge.